Okay, let's talk about the Colts. Getting away from basketball for the first time for a little bit. We'll return on the show to the basketball conversation. But the Colts. What if Aaron Rodgers went to the Colts? This is a really interesting and important question to ask. Aaron Rodgers has been dismissed by the New York Jets, effectively. I think that's a good word to use for that situation. Aaron Rodgers is going to exit New York. He said that he wants to continue playing. So people were obviously talking about whether or not he was going to retire. He said he wants to keep going. Indy has been discussed as a potential candidate with their talented roster, right? They're on the doorstep of being a playoff team with their roster, and their uncertain future at quarterback is also in play there. Maybe the Colts are a quarterback away from going on a playoff run. I have no idea. We'll see how good Anthony Richardson is. We'll see how good the team is, the roster is, how well we draft. This team might be a draft, an offseason, and a quarterback away from making a deep playoff run. I'd love to see them turn it around in one offseason. Aaron Rodgers is being discussed as potentially the person that could lead the Colts in that charge to a playoff run. He's a veteran quarterback. He's very talented. Last season, top 10 in pass yards, top 10 in touchdown passes, 63% completion percentage. I point that out because Anthony Richardson has been under 50% for the majority of the year last year. Aaron Rodgers, one of the best, maybe the best passer of the football ever. He will deliver the ball to skill position players. He'll get the ball to your receivers, right? He'll hand the ball off well. He'll do everything he needs to do. He has a deep ball threat. He's more than a game manager. He's everyone kind of knows Aaron Rodgers and his style of play, but he's a great passer of the football, and that's something that we don't really have right now. Because again, Anthony Richardson, if he throws the football, there's less than a 50% chance that it's going to be completed. So Aaron Rodgers, he's going to be a great passer of the football, and maybe if the Colts retool the secondary, maybe if they pick up Tyler Warren in the draft, get a steal with him, or even if they get Aaron Rodgers, they may not even need that. If they retool the secondary a little bit, probably not make a move for Myles Garrett if they make a move for Aaron Rodgers. But regardless, this is a guy that has still got it, right? And the question is just whether or not he has another Super Bowl in him. He will manage the game perfectly, right? He will deliver the ball to skill position players. He will play quarterback at a very high level, and that's really why this potential idea for a move would be attractive. I don't know if he would come here. You also have the Pat McAfee aspect of this, where Aaron Rodgers goes on the Pat McAfee show once a week, however often it is. Pat McAfee obviously does a show from Indy. He does the show. He obviously Colts legend, right? A guy that loves the Colts, wants to see the Colts do the best they can. This would be a great merging of worlds for him, I imagine. A great PR moment. And that is what I think is most prominent, is the fact that if this happens and it goes well, the PR is going to be fantastic. And Colts fans will be absolutely thrilled. Because Pat McAfee, he goes on Pat McAfee every week anyway, and now he'll be here. And if the Colts are winning and they're talking about that on Pat McAfee, would be incredible. The flip side of that is how awkward it would be if Aaron Rodgers comes to the Colts and performs poorly, or the Colts keep losing. Then all of a sudden that dynamic gets a little bit shifty. He might say a couple things that you don't want to hear if you're a Colts fan from him when a team is losing. And then things start to get toxic, and then things start to get complicated, and then things start to get chaotic. And that is what I'm afraid of. And that's where I kind of bring us to the cons section. If the pros are the fact that he's a veteran QB with maybe a lot to teach AR, very talented, would be a fantastic talent for this team. The cons are the complicated social presence. Because if things start going poorly, if he's unhappy or if the team is losing, that's where all of a sudden you get into a situation where he's a bit too public. He's a bit too outspoken. Things are getting a bit too complicated, honestly, and maybe toxic and chaotic as well when it comes to Aaron Rodgers with off-the-field issues, whether it's with the Pat McAfee show or whatever it else, or the fact that he maybe doesn't jive well with the players. He's an older guy. Everyone else is in his 20s. He's in his 40s, right? He's almost double the age of a lot of the guys in the locker room. So then we have that, the fit aspect of it, whether or not Aaron Rodgers will fit with the team, whether or not he will fit with the city, entirely depends on whether or not he's winning. And I think there's a very strong polar opposite effect there, where if the team's winning, we'll love him. And if the team's losing, then we'll hate the fact that the Colts are bringing in yet another aging quarterback. It would be a risky move. I would almost argue that it would be too risky, because right away, my first concern is, what about the future? Because Aaron Rodgers is on his way out. He's not retiring this year, apparently, but he's retiring soon, regardless. If the Colts make a move for Aaron Rodgers, it would indicate that we'd be trying to win a Super Bowl in the next 1 to 2 years, which is great. I just don't know if the Colts quite have a roster capable of making that happen. The thought is that Aaron Rodgers could come in and guide Anthony Richardson, right? Teach him a little bit. Certainly could teach him a lot through all of his years in the NFL, including a Super Bowl championship. But I don't really think he'd want to. And that's the biggest thing with Aaron Rodgers, where I don't think that he would really want to teach Anthony Richardson. I don't think he would want to be the mentor. I think he wants to go out and be the star, which is great if he can find himself on a team where he can go out and be the star. I just don't know if that is necessarily the Colts, because that's just another aging quarterback that is in the ear of Anthony Richardson, giving him tips, whatever that is. I don't think Aaron Rodgers is going to be that guy. He doesn't want to be the mentor, in my opinion. He wants to lead another team to the Super Bowl and be the man. And regardless, he doesn't play the game the same way Anthony Richardson does, right? And regardless, Anthony Richardson has struggles, and we talked about that, throwing the football and being a passer of the football. He could learn from the best to ever do that, for sure. But their play styles are different. The way they see the game is different. Their ages are different. Everything about them is different. I don't think that necessarily Anthony Richardson and Aaron Rodgers would be a good fit for Anthony Richardson. And in my opinion, the biggest issue that Anthony Richardson has is his lack of experience, because we know he didn't play a lot in college. He just didn't have as many games under his belt, right, for a variety of reasons. He got hurt for the majority of his first season. He got benched in his second season. Now in his third year, Anthony Richardson still doesn't have that much starting experience in big-time games in the SEC or in the NFL, as maybe Jaden Daniels does, for example. Jalen Hurts as well. Great comparison. So Anthony Richardson's lack of experience is the biggest issue. To me, right, those things I just said are all red flags, right? Him getting hurt, him not playing much in college, him getting benched last season. But to me, this is the make or break year. I want Anthony Richardson to start the entire season this year, because I don't think the Colts are ready to win a Super Bowl. I think they could be close, and they kind of need to be close, because Jonathan Taylor's getting older and more expensive. Michael Pittman Jr. is getting older and more expensive. Plenty more examples. I think that it's time for the Colts to ramp themselves up to a Super Bowl, not ring chase for this season, which is what an Aaron Rodgers level move would do. Anthony Richardson, let's have him play the entire season this year. And they've said that we're going to bring in competition. I don't know who that competition is going to be. Maybe it's Aaron Rodgers, but we can't pay him too much, and we can't let him be too much of a complicating factor in the locker room and in the community, right? In the media, in the locker room, whatever it is, we can't let Aaron Rodgers complicate things too much, and we can't pay him too much. We can't overpay him, especially, because that would set us back even further. It set us back in Anthony Richardson's development. It set us back in our Super Bowl chase, especially knowing that we're going to run out of time for Jonathan Taylor and Michael Pittman Jr. to win a Super Bowl, and eventually they're going to retire or move on to somewhere else, and we'll have to blow it up, and the Colts will tank. And that's not where we want to see the Colts be, again, at another period of time in their history. So Aaron Rodgers, if he comes in, I don't think that that's necessarily the goal. I want Anthony Richardson to start the whole season, because I want to truly see. I want to have as many games as possible to find out, is he the guy? If he stays healthy all year and performs well and the Colts improve, maybe we can build a team around him. If he's bad and the team is bad and we have another losing season and we miss the playoffs again, maybe it's time to move on. I understand the fact that this is a big offseason for quarterbacks. I understand the fact that maybe now is the time to grab someone like Aaron Rodgers or Justin Fields, or bring in that competition and a guy that could start. And this draft also is a big opportunity for young quarterbacks. Maybe we have to wait another year. And if that means that we miss out on some quarterback opportunities, I think that's worth the risk, because I think Anthony Richardson is worth the risk, because if Anthony Richardson pans out, we are so much closer to being a Super Bowl team with this roster, rather than having to restart with a new quarterback again. So I don't know who the Colts are going to bring in as competition for for Anthony Richardson's starting quarterback job. To me, it shouldn't be Aaron Rodgers. Maybe I'm wrong. It certainly would be entertaining. It'd be exciting. I'd smile. I'd definitely get excited. I'd have a lot to say. If Aaron Rodgers came around, I'd have a lot to say about the season as we got closer to it as well. If Aaron Rodgers came on board, I don't think that's the right decision for right now, considering the context of the team, the context of the league, the context of the players involved. I want to stick with Anthony Richardson. But if Aaron Rodgers came by, there'd certainly be pros and cons to that decision.